entertainment. And you're talking about one Guyana. When the Ministry of Culture keep the big shows, one set of girls and banner. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up. Every picture you take and promise you make, everything you do is about clouds. When you come into me for I shake your hand, there's nothing to smile about. Corruption inside every sector, but when it comes to them they send you. Try investigate efficiency, right? Go talk to Baratans too. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up. I done fed up of the dirty water, low pressure, want scream and tell somebody. Imagine 1500 US and they're telling me super salary. I done fed up of the unemployment racism and the lie they say one Guyana. Cause when you look with the oil money going, circulate with one set of banner. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up.
Yeah, my name is Jacinty Caldata Francis Vietnam, and since 1965 I become a voter, and I always place my ex next to the cup, and what they are doing today I can't take it, so I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data.
Oh, Jesus Christ, if cost of living double, I don't know what happened. A pound of sugar is $300 already. Flour, everything gone up. Everything just raising. You gotta get about $40,000 for buy good ration. You gotta get 3 man now. A weekend man, a monthly man, and a
So you said valid votes counts, votes cast.
You could probably, on the maritime area, give Venezuela a channel out to the sea. So you make a slight concession in the maritime area.
So there you go. Jagdeo wants to make a slight concession, right? He's giving away a piece of Guyana. Maybe Idadi, Imami, Inani, Pua, Ichacha, Ichachi, Imami, or Imamu. And those of you, you know those terms, right? Chachi, Chacha, Pua, Mami, Mamu, Mami, Mamu. Let me see if any one of you guys know who is Mamu. Who is your Mamu? And Rajan, this is not for you, my friend. Good night to all the folks in Canada. Tom Anderson is on with us tonight. I'm probably going to ask Tom if he knows what is a Mamu, or who is a Mamu, and who is a Mami, and who is a Dabit. Who is your Dabit? Come on, guys. Come on. Not you. Not you. Who is it? I just saw Vashti. Not you, Vashti. Mamu is your mother's brother, but that is the incorrect answer. And John said mother. No, Mami is not mother. Who is, Savitri Rose says, mother, brother. That is not true. And John said uncle. You're partially correct. Who is Mamu? Come on, guys. Let's get some little... Don't let me get Tom Anderson, and then Tom is going to get the answer, right? Tom is going to get the answer, but some of you can't get it in the audience. Come on. Come on. Who is your Mamu? Paula Pollard, stop it. It's your mother's brother. Yes, but I'm looking for more. I am looking for more. If we got to spend all night looking for more, we will look for more. Tom is in the back. We see Tom. Tom is smiling. Lita Basdio says, mother, brother. That is true. Mother, brother. But, oops. Oops. All right. So what if your mother has 3 brothers? Who then is your Mamu? Trade Joy. Trade J. I mean, mama, man. Let's get a little respect here, man. This is not a show for that. Good. So Chisel Chipepper, no, throw him in the gutter. Throw him right away in the trench. Chisel Chipepper in the trench. What if your mother has 3 brothers? Who is your mom? A big giveaway, right? Tom is still in the back. He's smiling there. Just imagine we are on Straight Up. We talk about mamu, mommy, mama, Chisel, chill pepper. Look, he get it. So if your Keith Ben is saying no song, well, Keith Ben, check your phone, right? Didi is big sister. All right, good. I'm not talking about Didi and her, right? We're talking about if your mother has 3 brothers, who is your mamu? Which one of them is your mamu? All right. 38% tariff, right? That's what you guys want to talk about. But here it is, Ben Chop talking about mamu, mommy, pua, right? Cha-cha, cha-chi. Tom Anderson, good night. How are you, sir?
Good night, everyone. How's everyone doing? Thanks for having me on again.
Thanks for being on with us. So, who is your mamu? You've been hanging around, guys.
Yeah. That's your mother's brother's. That's the oldest brother of your mother.
Now you look. Somebody said. So if your mother has 3 brothers, your mamu is the eldest.
Yes.
If your mother has 2 brothers, the older one is your mamu. If your mother has only 1 brother, then you can only have 1 mamu. Mm-hmm. All right. Anyways, I'm out of here. With that,
what's mommy though? What's mommy?
Mommy is the opposite of mom. Well, mommy is your mamu wife. All right. Mommy is your mamu wife. All right. Tom Anderson. Hey, good night to all of you, right? It kind of like shocked some of you there, right? Okay. And your ma and pa and all kind of things. People already saying, welcome back to Tom Anderson. You guys just saw Tom just the other night. Stop it. I'm feeling a little, come on. What about welcome back to me? Tom, how have you been, man? Good night and welcome to Straight.
Been great, man. Been great. You know, today, once again, I went through the 2-hour Jack Dale press conference. This is what I think 2 weeks in a row now.
Oh, wow. You went through that. I don't know. You got some nerve. But before we go through that tonight, let's just say JetBlue, some drunken guys, we're told, mind you, misbehaved on JetBlue flight. And as they landed in JFK this morning, there were officers waiting to escort them off because they were, according to a source, misbehaving. They were disrespectful to the flight attendants and so forth and so on. And guess what? Agents were waiting for them and escorted them off the plane. Guys, if you know you're flying and you're going to be high and drinking, do not do it. Do not disrespect people. That's all. And so, Tom, lots and lots of things happening in Guyana. The catfish, I don't know what's going on with catfish now in Guyana. You know the whole catfish situation. Oops. You know the whole catfish situation there. And when Mike Pompeo was in Guyana, the only thing Air Finale and the PPP regime could talk about, you remember that, right? When they met with Mike Pompeo?
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do with the catfish for us? We're not getting to send the catfish to the U.S. Please, Mr. Mike Pompeo, help we no man with the catfish. And Mike Pompeo is no longer Secretary of State. He never helped them with the catfish. When you heard of Air Finale begging for catfish relaxation and catfish, how did you feel, Tom, begging the U.S. Secretary of State then, Mike Pompeo, about catfish?
Yeah, they were, that's where things are with them to this day. I mean, they really do look at things like catfish as something that's very important, right? And I think Jack Dale's talking about that today. He sees these industries as something important and something that they should be pushing, right? But at the same time, they have the system so corrupt that even if Pompeo were to be able to help them, it wouldn't go right. Things would disappear. Half of the fish that's supposed to be going out would go out. All types of crazy things will start happening. So So that's really, you know, at the end of the day, when I saw them talk about it, I thought, well, maybe they feel like they can tackle that and there won't be too much corruption on that, and that's why they're focused on it. But other than that, you know, I was kind of surprised, right? Because you rarely hear that from a leader of a country in any type of format to be, you know, talking publicly about catfish deals. That's, you know, that's a new one, man.
And it's not surprising though that Mike Pompeo was Secretary of State then when Irfan Ali was begging about catfish and nothing happened. And Mike Pompeo went out of office. He's no longer Secretary of State. In fact, he got lots of things taken away from his former boss, Trump, and so forth. But you're not surprised that Irfan Ali and Jagdeo, they thought that they were going to cozy up enough with Mike Pompeo, who maybe have been able to help them get into power, was going to help them with the catfish. Now we see the same sort of, as we say in Guyana, sucking up to another Secretary of State, who happens to be Marco Rubio. They didn't do that sort of sucking up, so to speak, with Blinken. Not at all. But they're doing that now with Marco Rubio, the same as they have done to Mike Pompeo. They never got much from Mike Pompeo, other than Mike probably helped them get into power, and that's it. Reminiscent now, as we see the same thing, they're sucking up to Marco Rubio. Can they expect much from Marco Rubio?
No, I mean, that's what everyone should understand with any type of international dealings between two nations is that you have to have the correct numbers. You have to have a system that can actually track what's coming in and out. And since Guyana doesn't have a system that can accurately track what's coming in and out, there's really no deal that they can really have with any Secretary of State in the United States, because at the end of the day, for you to have a deal, you have to actually have real product that's being tracked and it's being, you know, put into a database that both countries can look at and examine and make, you know, adjustments to, et cetera, et cetera. That's not what you have with Guyana. In Guyana, what you have is a system where they're making up the numbers. Okay. So there's really no way to know how much is leaving, how much is coming in. And when you're in that type of a situation, a Secretary of State really can't do anything. No matter how much they suck up to Rubio, there's not much he can do when he's dealing with a false set of books, right? And that's what you're dealing with when you're dealing with the PPP-led Guyanese economy.
So wait a minute. What do you mean, please, Mr. Anderson, when you say, I agree with you with Marco Rubio, there's not much that he can do to save them, the PPP in Guyana. But what do you mean that a questionable set of books, so to speak? Talk to us about that.
It was brought up last year with the sanctions on the Mohammeds, right? Where our government told the Guyanese government, look, we have evidence to show that Mohammed and his family and the businesses have brought 10,000 kilos of gold into the United States that was never, ever looked at in Guyana. You guys just let it out and there were no fees that were paid. The government just never tracked it. And so it was smuggled out of the country. That's according to our government. And 10,000 kilos of gold turns out to be between $600 million to $1 billion worth of gold. And it went out between 2019 and 2022. 2023, somewhere in there, right? So over those years, you had 10,000 kilos of gold leaving Guyana and going to the United States, and none of it was put down on paper in Guyana that it was taken out of the country. Okay, when you have a situation like that, you can't look at the books that Guyana tells the UN is going on, especially with the PPP. The PPP are saying things like in today's news conference, Jagdeo said that the PPP and the government of Guyana told the UN that $80 million worth of gold is what was sent out to the United States last year. $80 million. How is it possible that such a small amount of money is going from Guyana to the United States when we are saying flat out that the Mohammeds alone brought 10,000 kilos in between a 4-year period of time? So there are billions of dollars worth of natural resources and other things that are leaving Guyana and coming into the United States, and it's under the table. It's not being accounted for by the nation of Guyana. And that was the big thing that I noticed in today's news conference when Jack Dale was talking about the tariffs. He said the reason why the percentage was so high on Guyana is because according to the US government, there's a negative trade balance between the two countries, where we're saying, this is what our government's saying. Our government is saying $5.5 billion worth of goods is going from Guyana and coming into the United States, okay, over the year, 5.5 billion. And then on top of that, what we're saying is 1.3 billion is leaving the United States and going to Guyana. Well, the PPP-led government is saying, no, 5.5 billion is not what's going out of Guyana to the United States. It's 3.3 billion is what they're saying. So there's a $2 billion deficit in how much money and how much product is leaving Guyana and coming to the United States, according to the Guyanese government, their own books. They're $2 billion short. The only way to really explain that is that this stuff was smuggled out of the country. Okay. And then on top of that, Jack Dale's government is telling the United Nations that America brought $2.6 billion. We exported $2.6 billion worth of goods from the United States to Guyana. Well, our government is saying, no, we only sent $1.3 billion. So what it sounds like the government's doing, if you're looking at their numbers and looking at the discrepancy, it sounds like the government of Guyana is charging a 100% tariff on anything coming from the United States to Guyana. And they're charging that tariff as under the table. It's not something that the American companies are paying. Okay, because they're saying, look, we're only sending 1.3 billion. So to cover that extra money. So sounds like, to me, it sounds like corruption. I might be wrong, but that's what this sounds like. So when you have billions of dollars that are different between the two sets of books, and it's a lot less coming from Guyana, and Guyana's been hit with sanctions by us, where we've said, hey, we know 10,000 kilos of gold has been smuggled out of your country, right? That's $1 billion worth of gold. When that's going on, that means that these guys are not keeping track. That means that the government itself somehow, some way, either through corruption and just incompetence, is doing a really bad job. And all this money that's missing is revenue that could be coming to the people of Guyana.
Lots and lots of revenue, but it went into the hands of corrupt individuals disguised as businessmen and businesswomen, something the PPP is well aware of, but people are talking. People are talking. They don't want to go down just like that. They are talking to sell them, to save themselves. And you can't blame people. If you have a corrupt government that facilitates corruption, well, it's time that people start singing and whistling. And I have seen that. We see that it's happening. It's a good thing, so forth. One of the things I heard came out of this person's press conference is he was explaining the type of road, or what road that Marco Rubio drove on, and therefore he wants Marco Rubio to tell him which road really. It sounds a bit wacky, but what is your take, please, on that explanation?
Yeah, he said that Jack Dale was adamant. Okay, he was adamant that Marco Rubio wasn't sure what road he was on. Okay, and they need to go check with him to find out which road he was on before they can say for sure that the road that he said was the concussion highway, that was actually something that the Chinese built. That's what he's claiming. He's saying that Marco Rubio didn't have a right. He didn't know what road he was on, that the concussion road is a Chinese road, and that the other roads that the PPP built, those roads, there's no problem with those. They're nice and smooth and everything's fine. That's what he claimed. I thought that was laughable, but I will say this, right? That this is a sign to me that they don't have good control over what's happening in the government. And this is why I say that. Even in the most wrecked state capitals that we have in the United States. We have some state capitals in the southern states that are very poor and urban and ghetto, like just poor, just it's not nice, okay? But and all of these lawmakers from these states go to that capital a couple of months out of the year, and when they go, what happens is these cities that are more that are sometimes run down and not looking too good, they make sure that the road that goes from the airport to the state house and to where all the state people live when the government's in session, they make sure that road is clean and nice because they know that when any kind of lawmaker or visitor comes to your city, right? The roads tell you a lot about what that environment is. And if they're driving over potholes, if they're about to get a concussion driving in, and this is your first time to their country or to a city, it sends the message that you're in a hellhole. Okay, that's what it sends. And so I'm shocked that these guys allowed Marco Rubio to visit their country, and they allowed the president of India. They've allowed so many people to visit the country and drive down a concussion highway like that, and they had no embarrassment at all, none. And they haven't done anything. Even today, instead of this guy taking responsibility and saying, hey, we're actually working on that thing now, it's never going to happen again. Instead, he's blaming the Chinese again.
So are you surprised though that Jack Dale, who has benefited so much, and maybe in personal capacity, all of the stuff in his house, majority of those stuff were actually shipped out of China, and you were aware of that. And even the allegation that he has a bank account in China with billions of dollars, billions upon billions of dollars. It's like, what's happening? Tom, are you surprised that he's actually blaming the Chinese?
I'm not surprised because, he's in a position now where the Chinese are half a world away. They're not in a position to help the nation of Guyana right now, especially with Maduro, sniffing down everyone's back. So, in the position that he's in, for him to survive, he has to partner up with the United States. He doesn't have a choice. And he's going to say and do whatever it takes to make us feel like he's a good guy. He's advanced. He's this technological, smart, advanced, first world guy. That's what he's trying to put out there. But the reality is that if he was really that advanced, he would have made sure that road that all types of important people are coming down to visit Guyana. He would have made sure that highway was done the proper way. Okay, because it's not that hard. Okay, to get roads laid down. It's really not that hard.
He doesn't care about roads laying down. He doesn't care about those sort of things. He doesn't care about Guyana. They have destroyed Guyana for the 20-odd years they've been in power. And before they got installed in 2020, on August 2nd, same thing. They don't care. They just do not care at all. And so what do you think the Chinese are going to think of him now that he is blaming the Chinese who helped him? Maybe if the Chinese are watching right now, I want them to release that bank account that he has in China. But how do you think the Chinese are going to feel about him blaming them now?
Well, the way they see him right now is, he's an opportunist, and he's going to say and do whatever he needs to do to survive. So probably from the Chinese perspective, they're not going to be too angry at this point. I think they're going to see this as an opportunity because they know at some point he's going to have to come back to them. At some point in time, he will have to come back to them. And when he does, they're going to make him pay so bad, it won't even be, he's going to be upset, right? But that's probably what they're thinking now, is that they can't wait until he needs them again. So when he does, they're going to charge him so hard, it's going to be head spinning.
Head spinning indeed. If you're now joining us, it's 32 minutes after 9 o'clock. My name is Mark Benchop. I hope our operator, Lemon, can get this demon off the screen. But Lemon, as usual, distracted and some other probably watching, I don't know. Tom, if you can find a good operator, please let us know. We're just tired of Lemon. But persons are asking, though, whether there's tariff on the cocaine, the large amounts of cocaine peddled out of Guyana under the PPP regime. And speaking of cocaine, Tom, you're not surprised that they have identified the owner of this ship. 3 or 4 fishermen and quote, fishermen or whatever, crew members are actually from Guyana. Are you surprised, Mr. Anderson, that there's no information to the public on this 6.3 tons of cocaine discovered, presumably from Guyana, somewhere there in Africa?
Yeah, I mean, this is the part of, and by the way, when it comes to the tariffs, gold isn't a part of this. Oil is not a part of the tariffs. A lot of the, other natural resources are not a part of the tariffs. The smuggling is what comes with the corruption and with them not being able to keep track of what's coming in and out of the country. So that's what's making that happen right there. And, and until Guyana gets serious about that, and this is something that the opposition needs to, I think, be focused in on, is, it's one thing, like Jack Dale said today, to, he complains that he doesn't feel like the APNU has the type of vision that the country needs to move forward economically, because he feels like he's got the vision, and he feels like, all these deals that they're making is how you get the job done. But in reality, the way you get the job done as a government official is you help ensure that you create a system that keeps track of everything coming in and out. You create a system that allows the people to know what the rules of the road are within the country, and they're allowed to play by those rules and succeed when they do. That's what you need. That's not what you've got, right? And that might sound boring, and it might sound like, oh, anyone can do that, but it's not true. It's really hard to do that. That's one of the hardest things for government to do, and I just don't see the PPP or Jack Dale have any type of mindset towards that. And I wish the opposition would have more of a mindset towards that, more of a mindset towards, operating in a way that's excellent, having an excellent work standard, work ethic, making sure that when things are done, they're done not just right, but perfectly, done in a way that can last generations. Having accountability, having transparency. These are boring things, but these are the things that the country needs in order to be able to take advantage of the vast natural resources and wealth that you guys have been blessed with.
Thank you so much, Tom, and good night again to all of you who are now joining us. This is Straight Up on this Thursday evening, the 3rd day of April, 2025. Tom, I want to ask you this here. China, almost 1 billion people. Guyana, and of course the GDP compared to Guyana's GDP. China, almost 1 billion people. In Guyana, not even 1 million people, except those who are now going into Guyana illegally and so forth. And the PPP, they're propping up that list of GCOM, something the opposition should pay careful attention to, instead of some just wasting their time in groups chit-chatting and talking names. Outside of that, though, I had to squeeze that one in. Are you surprised that President Trump actually hit China with a 34% tariffs and Guyana with 38%? What is your take on what's going on? And how much on Russia? Russia. How much?
None. Nothing.
Absolutely. What's going on, Tom? Talk to us.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about the tariffs is, I don't believe any of it really matters, actually. I don't think any of it can be
from an economic
standpoint. I don't think it can be adhered to. I think what's going to happen is, because we don't have a system in place that's that prolific, that can track every single thing coming in and out of here in a way to, if other countries around the world try to evade our system, we don't have a system in place that can catch everyone if everyone's evading. Okay. And everyone's going to be trying to evade, especially inside of the United States, because these tariffs are paid by American companies. So if you're an American company and you're staying in business and your foreign counterparts, they're not lowering the price for you, and you have a choice to make: either ignore the tariff and try to let it slip through, basically smuggle it in, or lie on what's coming in, or do something to make it so that you don't have to pay that tariff that may be illegal. We don't have a system to catch people if everyone starts doing that. So that's why I look at this and I wonder to myself, well, I think this is going to lead to criminality. I think it's going to lead to a lot of people here in the United States making up fake books, pretending like things didn't come in that did come in, it's going to make smuggling worse, right? And so, yeah, this is going to end up being really, really bad. But I think the reason why it's happening is because this is a power play by Trump. And whenever when he does this, what it does is it's going to force some countries like Guyana, for example, to have to come more clean with what's coming in and out of their country. Okay,
Guyana under Barrett Jack Deal and
they're going to have to come clean.
Tom would never come clean. They're not.
Well, they're going to be stuck.
Their hands are dirty, Tom.
They're going to be stuck.
Now I'm getting all worked up. Jack Deal and Irfan Ali and those vagabonds in the PvP hierarchy coming clean. Did you say come clean?
That's the issue, man. And that's what. So if people want to know, right? I think when Trump was talking about Liberation Day for the tariffs, he's really talking about all of you guys, people in Guyana, because your government now is going to have to fix the books.
No. Guyana's government, Tom, Guyana's government is not my government. Okay, please. It's a corrupt regime. It's not a government of the people. It's a criminal regime. I just thought I had. Look, Neville Sital, also known as Civic, is saying Harkati, Harami, right? That is what's going on. It's not a government in Guyana. It's a criminal enterprise. Sorry that I had to interject here, Tom, but continue.
Yeah, but they're going to have to come clean on those books, man. They're going to have to, because they can't continue to say that, we only sent $3 billion worth of exported goods to the United States when we are finding that we're getting more like $6 billion. You can't do that.
What happened? The goods that are imported into Guyana, a lot of them, they're cheating the taxes. And when they cheat taxes through GRA, a lot of government officials are the ones who are getting the kickbacks. So what they do through GRA, which is the Guyana Revenue Authority, Tom, and I say it again, Tom, it's the Guyana Revenue Authority. So if a businessman who is connected to the corrupt PPP or some big official in the corrupt PPP regime, if they have 5 containers of goods, that are coming in from the United States of America, they notify those corrupt officials and say, hey, I have 5 containers coming to Guyana. Can you have them cleared? And it is cleared. They do not pay the taxes. They do not pay the revenues. And so they help to cheat the system, deprive taxpayers of what belongs to them because of some corrupt official or officials who are connected to these so-called business people. So they cheat the revenue, they cheat the taxpayers of Guyana. If they bring in cars, expensive trucks, expensive whatever, and you're connected to somebody in the PVP regime, you do not pay taxes. And so these things that are coming out, these goods that are coming out from Guyana, they are registered in the US, so they pay whatever they have to pay to export. But when it reaches to Guyana, because of the high level of corruption, the books isn't adding up. The books aren't adding up. And that is what that Paku, that so-called economist, was trying to explain, but he cannot explain because the corruption is too much, Tom. Take, for example, it's an unfair economy, an unfair sort of advantage there to the Guyanese people, the Guyanese business people, where the Chinese, the majority of Chinese, when they take whether 100 containers of whatever shipped into Guyana, they do not pay duty. They do not pay taxes because of a corrupt system, because of corrupt officials, people like Jagdeo, people like Irfan Ali. They are just so corrupt. Taxes are being evaded. You have friends of the PPP regime, whether those friends are smuggling gold or smuggling whatever from Venezuela, as long as those gold and so forth are smuggled into Guyana, something that the government is aware of, it is smuggled out of Guyana, Curacao, wherever, to Curacao, wherever. You know that too, Tom. And therefore, they the corrupt PPP regime aid and abet those corrupt businessmen to smuggle things out of Guyana and rob and cheat the Guyanese people of their fair share of taxes. It happens all the time. Everything they smuggle out of Guyana, they smuggle gold, they smuggle oil, everything they smuggle. The only thing them and start smuggling yet, well, I don't want to say it publicly because that might just get Jack there touchy. But Tom, add whatever I said there in terms of them not going to keep no book clean. They're corrupt, Tom.
This is what Jack Dale said in the press conference. What he said was that they need to speak with the U.S. authorities to explain to them why the books look different on their end. So he feels confident that he can explain away how the books that the PPP control are coming up billions of dollars short compared to the books that we have here in the United States.
So wait a minute, Tom. You think whatever this guy says he wants to explain, does he really think officials in the U.S. will believe him?
See that? I think he's gotten away with it before, right? They've gotten away with it before. So I think he's thinking, if he just keeps playing the game that the way they have always played it, he'll have the same success. It's just, I think this time it's a little different. I do think the Trump thing, this tariff thing, to me, the way it's panning out, it has, when it comes to Guyana in specific, I don't know about other countries, but I can say in Guyana in specific, the biggest effect it's going to have on Guyana is it's going to affect the country's books in how they're keeping track of imports and exports from the United States. Right now, you were talking like there's like a $2 to $3 billion difference between what the government in Guyana is saying that's coming in and out between the United States and Guyana, than what the United States is saying. That's a billions of dollars. That's huge. And so that change, however they come to the conclusion to fix that number, is going to have a massive impact on the nation of Guyana overall, not just in trade with the United States, but with how the nation trades with all other nations, how Guyana trades with every nation, because this is going to change how they have to deal with how they keep track of what they're doing. So this is an interesting time for Jack Dale and the PPP, because between now and election day, they're going to have to start showing different numbers of imports and exports from the United States in order to get this tariff percentage fixed. That's what they're going to have to do, and that's going to be tricky to do.
Very tricky to do because the hands and the fingerprints all over the cookie jar, all over their fingerprints are wherever there is corruption, all over. And it's something that the Chinese know good about that. And I hope they're watching tonight. China, I hope the Chinese are watching tonight. Ni hao ma. Send the information about his bank account in China. Don't let him disrespect you guys, the Chinese. Expose him. Snitch on him. People are snitching these days. Snitch on him. Tom, back to the 38% tariff on Guyana. Bahamas got 10%, right? Guyana, of course, what is it? Okay, that's what charged to the U.S. That is what they're looking at. So Bahamas got 10%. Let me see what let's see what Panama got. Panama got 10%. But interestingly though, listen to this, Tom, and our listeners. Venezuela is way lower in terms of the tariffs, is lower than Guyana. What's happening? And these are the same people in the PPP regime who brag, they boast. They boast that, the Trump administration loves them. Oh my gosh. They have a friend in Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio, if he's watching, I'm not saying he's watching. Good night to you, Marco. Good night, Secretary of State. Maybe you got to listen to the other side. You got to come and talk to the other side. Let's talk. But having said that, Tom, every time you smile like that, I know you're up to something. I think I know what you're up to. But let us get back to what the PPP tried to do. They tried to link opposition members. These are folks who were out there protesting well, in solidarity with Melissa Atwell, known as Melly Mel, who's kicking up a storm and giving them hell again. Keep it up, Melly Mel. But this is what they are trying to say to Trump administration. You touched on this when you saw this. They say opposition protest against Trump administration. So there it is. They're trying to drive that wedge and say, look, opposition folks don't like the Trump administration. They have done all sorts of things, but it is not working. They think that that is how they're going to swar, as we would say in Guyana, swar, sweet talk Donald Trump, and he's going to listen to them, and he's not going to penalize them. Tom, the 38% tariffs on Guyana or goods coming out of Guyana to the United States is an embarrassment to the PPP regime. They are so ashamed that not even Irfan Ali has surfaced wherever he is right now. He hasn't surfaced. Again, 49 minutes after 9 o'clock.
Yeah, no, this is, I'm going to say it again. The reason why that percentage is so high is because of the discrepancy between how much the government of Guyana is claiming is being traded between our two countries. They're claiming it's billions of dollars less than what it actually is. And so that's screaming out corruption. That's screaming out all types of smuggling, both in and out between our country and your country. So if you think about it, if that's what's going on between Guyana and the United States, that there's about $2 billion difference between what the Guyanese government's claiming is coming in and out from America as opposed to what's actually coming in and out, then how does that sit with China? I'll bet most of the stuff coming from China into Guyana isn't even tracked, right? How does that go with almost any other country they're doing trade with? And so there's a situation here for the people of Guyana that's very important. And what is it? It's called revenue. You're in the situation now because of this tariff thing has exposed that under the PPP, there are natural resources leaving the nation by the billions, and it's not being tracked, which means all of that revenue is being lost. So if people look around and they're wondering, well, how is it that there's all this oil revenue coming in? Where is the money going and everything else? Well, the big problem is, if you look at this tariff situation, it's that there's a lot of smuggling going on, and there's a lot of goods that are leaving the country and coming in that are just not being tracked, and they're not being taxed. And so the nation itself is being robbed blind on this. Okay, robbed blind.
That's why because of that, we have the concussion roads.
Yeah.
So-called businessmen in Guyana are robbing taxpayers. They're allowed to rob taxpayers as a result of corrupt government officials. We see it. It's happening. Smuggle gold, smuggle oil, smuggle all sorts of things. They're smuggling out of Guyana. They're even smuggling out cocaine, something they're good at under the PPP regime. But Tom Anderson, tell me something. With the PPP, as we say, as the folks say, in the streets in Guyana, there's this term called pampazette. The PPP, in other words, showing off. The PPP is pretending that the Trump administration loves them and therefore will protect them. So much so they gone and they took a guy, a lobbyist, so to speak. And it says here, PPP government, they have not denied it. They've confirmed. They say, yes, here it is, Tom. PPP government, so-called government, corrupt government, paying US dollars, $50,000 a month to lobby Trump government to say that, oh, the PPP love you, Trump. They love you. Please don't make the PPP blah, 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 enemy and so forth and so on. What is this $50,000 a month while people are starving, so to speak, in Guyana, and people are not being paid properly? Public servants. Which public servant can get $50,000 a month? But they're giving a lobbyist in the United States of America to go and tell Trump that Jack Deere loves him so much. Oh, or Irfan Ali loves him so much, and they will do anything for him, including prepare catfish curry for him if he were to visit Guyana. Is this worth the money? $50,000 a month, Tom?
I mean, so far from what I've seen, I mean, this firm has been working hard for these guys, and it's not easy representing the PPP. All right. That's a hard job this lobbying firm has. So I can't really knock them too much because they've got a hard job. Okay. They're dealing with some guys who just aren't, in my opinion. I watched the Jag Dale's, I watched Jag Dale's press conference, and he's so quick to leave reality. Like that guy, it's almost like he has a training put in place where he can mentally just leave reality and go off into other places. And it's amazing. I've seen it happen now 2 press conferences in a row. And so when you've got a guy like that who's in a leadership position, and he will just deny away reality right there in your face. Okay, like today when he said, "Oh, it was the Chinese who built the highway, who built the road, that had nothing to do with the PPP." Like he knows that's not true, right? But he's able to, in the moment, like actually believe the lie, and you could see it on his face. He actually starts believing this stuff. So when you're a lobbyist and you have to actually work for someone who can do that and who does that, that's not an easy job, man. So these guys have a hard job. They're representing a guy who puts on a show to the world, but in reality, if you look at the actual work being done in Guyana, there's haphazard development happening basically. And I'm not saying that the crews doing the work on the bridges and stuff aren't doing good work. I'm sure they are doing excellent work, but the problem that they're all having to deal with is a government infrastructure that's built to extract money out of everyone involved into the pockets of the elite. It's not built to make sure that the roads are being done properly. The government's not built and structured to ensure that the people are getting the biggest benefit out of the natural resources that are being sold off. It's just not set up for that. And so this lobbying firm has to do a lot to legitimize the PPP. They're moving heaven and earth to keep Jag Dale and the PPP in the game in the United States. I got to tell you.
And you're correct, because looking at the lunatic Jag Dale, it's not difficult. It's not easy, and you can just imagine what these folks at this lobbying firm, what they have to endure, knowing that, and Jack Dale and Irfan probably gives them a heck of a lot of work and confusion and so forth and so on. So I wouldn't be surprised if this lobbying group says, "Look, I'm just tired. We can't defend you guys. The mess is too much, or you have to pay us more." One of the things though, Jack Dale didn't say where are they getting the $50,000 a month to pay this lobbying firm? Where? And I'd love to know. Where exactly is the 50,000 coming from? Tom, anything else on this? Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
No, I mean, there's so much money coming in. I mean, they don't have to. They have more than enough money. Okay, the government of Guyana to do whatever they need to do. There's more than enough money. All right, so 50,000 is actually per month. That's what they're paying per month, but they're also paying the expenses of this firm, which is separate. And on top of that, I guarantee you they paid a retainer up front, which could have been as much as $250,000. It's possible that's how much they've been having to dish out here. I haven't looked to see, but that's sort of how these deals kind of go sometimes with these lobbying shops. So 50,000 a month is a pretty decent rate. It's not an expensive rate actually when it comes to DC lobbying and for what the PPP are asking them to do. It's actually a pretty good rate, if you ask me.
Tom, maybe we should think about starting a lobbying firm. We can do really good too, because we can lobby, we can protest, we can get things going. 50,000 a month. Well, you can't blame those guys. If you catch a pacu, as we say in Guyana, if we catch a pacu, you bossy back and you put salt in it. And so that lobbying firm, actually, they caught not just one pacu, not just two pacus, not just three pacus. They caught a bunch of pacus in Guyana, the corrupt regime, the corrupt PPP regime. Tom, as we prepare to wind things down, they picked this guy up again, former Minister of Finance, Winston Jordan, and something, as they're claiming, happened 5, 6, 7 years ago. They picked him up because he has been speaking out against them, and they decided to charge him. Jordan charged with misconduct over sale of 5 acres of land for $2.4 million. This, according to them, allegedly happened maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. But they picked him up now because he has been speaking out about corruption in the PPP regime and so forth and so on. I don't know, Tom. Is there any future under, because Marco Rubio says 5, 10 years down, good leadership. We're not seeing good leadership. So I think Marco Rubio was lying to them. But what do you take on this sort of vindictiveness happening again under the PPP?
Well, they're doing this to him because they couldn't get Melly Mel. I'm just telling you. All right. So they didn't get Melly Mel. So they had to find somebody else, and they found this guy to go mess with some more. Okay. Because they're angry. And what they're trying to do is show the US government that they're going after corruption in Guyana. Okay. And this is their idea of doing it. And so anyone who says, hey, you guys are picking on this guy, they're going to say, "Whoa, you guys are the ones who are always complaining that people should go after government corruption, and now when we do it, all you can do is cry." This is this is their defense, but they're doing it because they couldn't get Melly Mel, man. That's what this is, in my opinion.
And we can't disagree with you on that. It's just how the vindictive PPP regime operates whenever they're in office. But they've got to go. They really got to go. Tom, let me ask you this as we prepare to wrap up. We heard news that the father and son, they have been sanctioned, and lots of allegations against them. Smuggling drugs, smuggling gold, smuggling this, smuggling that, terrorism, assassination, all manner of things. And these folks, it's not that they could not have left the shores of Guyana, but if they had at some point in time prior to recently, there's a high possibility that they would have been nabbed by U.S. law enforcement agents. It so happened, according to sources, is that they have decided to sit and have talks with certain law enforcement agencies in the United States of America. This meeting took place in Barbados. What's going on? What's happening here as we are hearing the news that they are giving up information about and critical information about members of the PPP regime? What's happening?
Well, this is what happens when you change partnerships from basically a Chinese and Middle Eastern type partnership to the United States, right? And so now that we are the new main partner and we're the ones with the warships protecting the oil infrastructure out there in the ocean there, right? Since we're doing that, since we're the ones who sent our Secretary of State down to tell Maduro directly, directly on camera, that if he does anything to the nation of Guyana, that we're going to go after him, right? So once you have that situation, and once we put our nation on the line, we put our military on the line, we're putting our servicemen on the line to protect your nation's natural resources, we are now partners. This is a straight up partnership. And so when you have a partnership that way, we want to ensure that our investment, that our war vessels, when we send them out there, that we don't get into an unnecessary war, for example, that we don't end up doing things that hurt our national interests because we partnered with a government that's lying to us, because we partnered with a government that's making up statistics, because we partner with a government that's corrupt. So we want to make sure for our own good that whoever we're partnering with, that they aren't totally out of control and totally corrupt. And so that's a problem for the PPP because they are out of control and they're corrupt. And so this is this is a natural evolution in this relationship between our two nations. The Mohammeds got the pressure on them first with the sanctions, and now they're trying to get out from under the sanctions by telling our government, it looks like apparently, hey, this is what's really going on in Guyana, which is good for the people of Guyana. Let me tell you, it's also good for the United States. The only people that it's bad for is the PPP. Everyone else is good for. So
why do you suppose? And I agree with you. Yes, but the Mohammeds allegedly snitching, so to speak, or telling and giving real evidence, according to sources, about the PPP regime. This doesn't. Jack Diao shouldn't be comfortable, as he appears to be a little comfortable, because these folks obviously have concrete evidence, obviously got some meat on Jack Dale and Irfan and other officials. Uh, what do you think is going through Jack Dale's mind right now and Irfan Ali?
Well, I don't know. I really don't know, but I can say that it's a very serious situation. Okay, because and the tariffs only made it even more serious. So ultimately, the people of Guyana need a government that's going to be transparent and accountable. The people of Guyana need a government system that is going to be responsive, that is going to protect the natural resources that you all have been blessed with, right? You're going to have a government system that keeps track of everything coming in and out of the country. And once you have that, you need to have a system that reflects the diversity and the greatness of the people of Guyana, right? So that's the other thing you have to have. So when you have put all of this together, now you can have a situation where you have an independent nation, and Guyana can be what it should be for the region. It should be a leader, should be a beacon of hope and light to the entire region, right? That's what needs to be worked towards. But to get to that place, a lot of the corrupt elements have to go. And what's happening with the Mohammeds is a process. Okay, this is a process. Some people will be put in jail. Hopefully, this does not get violent. I hope that the leadership and the elite in Guyana can see what's going on, and they can see that it's actually better off to stop with the corruption and to put in a really good system for everyone, because everyone's going to benefit so much more than what's happening now, which is totally chaotic and out of control.
Chaotic and out of control. So many folks have already passed on critical information on Jagdeo and the corrupt PPP, other corrupt officials in the PPP. I saw someone mention Datadin. Of course, Datadin recently, he was there. He spoke about the drugs going out under the PPP regime. He's back in the US. I'm sure he spoke a lot. There's some others, part of the underworld. I'm sure that they would have passed information on. Who knows? Who knows? And then there's Roger Khan, obviously did some level of speaking because he got his jail time cut short, so to speak. And there are others who did whatever that was necessary. And now we're hearing that the Mohammeds have done the same thing. The Mohammeds have done the same thing. All right, Tom Anderson, 38% tariffs, 38%. Is there anything else anything else came out of this, as we were saying, Guyana, this PACU's press conference that you want to talk about before we go?
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that he jumped on was he was talking about how many hospitals that need to be built and constructed, something like 12 of them. And, we get back to the same issue, right? Are they going to put out work orders that end up in shoddy construction in hospitals that aren't that useful? Is it going to be like the concussion highway, right? These are the questions. And so if you can't even get the main highway coming into the capital from the airport in a good enough condition so that dignitaries, when they come, don't get concussions, then how can you be trusted to build hospitals? You can't be. And that's where Jagdeo and these guys, I think, leave reality, right? I think he leaves reality when he forgets that the government that he's heading up is doing things like building highways that dignitaries are complaining they get concussions on. You cannot lead a country and have your main highway do that and expect to be taken seriously in any way, shape, or form. And that's the problem right now.
Tom, if ever you visit Guyana, I know maybe many, many years ago there was a possibility, and kudos to the Vice News crew that visited Guyana many, many years ago and saw what they did. Their lovely clandestine operations there many, many years ago. But if ever you go to Guyana, please, especially under the PPP regime, there's a place called Sophia. Sophia. And the roads, man, I tell you, I pray every time the buses go into Sophia, I pray for the women who are pregnant. I just pray for them that they come out of that pregnancy safely. I pray for them. So what Marco Rubio experienced there, it's Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. They should have taken him to Sophia. The roads would have been bumpy, or they should have taken him somewhere up in Linden, that long stretch of road going maybe into the interior, or even going up where to Ituni, Kokwani, and so forth and so on. Tom, you are so right. This corrupt PPP regime, they do not give Jagdev and Irfan and those guys do not give a damn about development. They do not give a damn about infrastructure or anything. All they concern about is corruption, 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 and corruption. Watch out, more corruption. They have more cash grants coming around, and who knows? Tom, thank you so much as always for your time. We'll be back same place, same time. I'll be back tomorrow. But Tom, you will be back. People are asking to bring you back tomorrow. No. Tom has other things to do. Tom has to go to bingo tomorrow, and thank you so much, Mr. Anderson. Appreciate your time. So,
thank you. Have a good night, everyone. Take care.
thank you, and to all of our listeners, we appreciate you. We appreciate all of you, including those who are peeping, and including those who have called to boycott us. Yeah, they're peeping. We know who they are. Of course we do. All right. What else? Anything else before I go? Everybody's thanking Tom. Yeah, nobody's thanking me. Y'all are causing problems between Tom. No, that's okay, guys. I'm not a jealous type of guy. Live and let others live, right? All right, guess what? I'll be back tomorrow. Same place, same time, right here on 107.1 FM. God bless you all of you. So long. Tata.
There and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Jurong?
Su? Oh, Su? My relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place, yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yeah.
Yeah, my name is Jacinty Caldata, Francis Vietnam, and since 1965 I become a voter, and I always place my ex next to the cup, and what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data. I have none.